I'm Javi. It's time for Chi Talks with Tony. Remember, if everything's made of energy, then we have a lot to discuss. Let's get into it.
Let's.
Hey, Tony.
Good morning. Good morning, Javi. It's good to see you again.
Good to have you here, brother.
It's nice to run into you in town and continuously just keeping the vibe and keeping the chi going.
Yes. We thank you for playing at the Inner Bloom space. Closed it off there. And that was nice.
That was nice. That was really nice. It's, I'm sad to see the place go, but I like the transition that you're moving into a new location, and there's going to be maybe a little bit more supportive.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. A new bloom.
Ah, there you go.
A new bloom. Yeah. Well, let's see. This is a show about chi, energy, feeling, sensation, the nervous system, relaxation, rehabilitation, maintenance, and strengthening in mind, body, spirit. What's going on for you, Tony?
Well, what's going on for me is, we're almost at the end of spring, so it's going to be a summer solstice this weekend, and I'm actually heading down to the Bay Area to do a couple of shows, and then I'm going to run back early in the morning on Sunday to play at the Mateel, at the Summer Arts and Music Festival. So it's going to be fun. I'm opening the show on Sunday.
I will be there.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun show. This will be my first
Summer Arts?
Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, me too.
I hope to video it too.
If I could only multiply so that I can, simultaneously while I'm playing, I can just project out of myself and get into the audience and watch myself play, that would be really fun. I'm working on it.
You want to watch yourself play?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, just disembody a little bit. Run on autopilot, and then meanwhile just, channel myself into the audience. It's an idea,
What do you think about... how do you feel when you watch yourself perform?
I cringe.
Yeah.
I cringe tremendously. The moment is really amazing. Everything in the moment is just so perfect.
Okay.
And you get back, you rewind a little back in time, and then you're sitting there and you're looking at it, and, meanwhile that moment has passed, and you're looking at yourself, I should have done this better. But I gotta say though, with the ongoing social media appearances and knowing that you're always being recorded, it's definitely making me just snap out of it immediately, and then just try to do my best always at all times, because you never know who's watching.
Well, isn't that how we live though? Isn't that how we want to live?
Well, now that people can comment on it, so you just take it a little bit more seriously.
No, I was thinking about that, on the spiritual sense, from the moral sense too. We live as if somebody's watching.
That's right. It's not really my preferred way of being. I'd like to feel like I'm just internal, and I'm just paying attention. I'm scanning my body continuously from the inside, and then it doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside. I think that's really the essence of Qi. You're looking within yourself continuously, and you're harvesting and harnessing the energy that you're cultivating through your mental process within your own body and your own nervous system, trying to ameliorate that being that is within you, that is you, right? Now, when you step out of that and you're looking at yourself from the outside, and now there are other eyes on you too, it changes the dynamic for which you are enhancing your presence. So it becomes more external than internal.
Well, I agree with you. You're great. You're a great performer. Being there in the space, you definitely are able to transmute a vibe, and you're able to fill a space.
Thank you.
So being there, seeing that, feeling that is amazing. And where was I going? But that notion of seeing yourself, because as a performer as well, for me, it's really difficult to sort of watch yourself. It's that self critique, essentially.
Yeah. that never sleeps with the artists. You know, it never sleeps. It never goes on pause because you're in this process of continuously trying to improve on your craft. So naturally you're going to be self-critiquing. But the thing that makes me most of the time swallow the imperfections is the fact that, you know, I judge myself for what I can do, and I critique myself for what I can do. But most people are critiquing for what they are looking at. They're not comparing, and maybe there's some form of comparison, but it's not really as brutal as the own personal comparison, because you know you've done that same thing 10,000 times before, and then this time it's not as crisp or as present as you'd like it to be, even though. But you know, there are other factors too. You're trying to fill a room, as you say, you know. And I thank you. I really appreciate that comment from you, because it's a great compliment. And as an artist, I strive to continuously be able to fill a room and transmit pure energy that is coming through music, because it's all it is vibration. There's nothing but vibration coming out, and I want that vibration to be as pure, as clean, as clear, as present, so that it can actually do the work and help people tune into the vibe and move through with the music, regardless whether they know the songs or not.
A couple of things I was thinking about is the internal observation versus the external observation, right? Because when you're performing, you're internally observing, and you're trying to have that inner bloom, in a way, have that vibe come from the inside through you, through your arms, hands, fingers, you know, all your body movements and what have you, and then through the guitar and through the vocals. And then the external observation, looking back, is it's a totally different observation.
Yeah,
superficial.
Yeah, totally. And you see things that you didn't even think about in the moment. Like sometimes the way your eyes are, or the way you're shaking your head, or you know, it doesn't have to do with sound, but it has to do with looks. You know,
yeah, there's that.
You know, like I'm squinting here, or I'm just like, you know, just my eyes, I have like rapid eye movement going on, and then so there's. It's good. It's good in that sense to become aware of it in the moment. I don't know how much you want to be aware of if you're trying to channel something, and you're trying to be aware of something that is much greater than you. Yeah. So naturally, it's going to travel through you and course through you in a way that's going to be a little bit. It's shaky to some parts of you that have not been there before. So
are you saying you're not going for the rock star look?
Well, I think that's possible as long as you're playing the same song for 1,000 days every night the same way. Then you get to improve on all the stuff. Then you get a chance to go, well, I think I'm going to wear my blue jeans with the golden cuffs, or the golden lining, and still go out there and do the same thing. And I can only get to focus on the way I look, because naturally now I'm embodying the song. I played it 1,000 times, and I will play it another 1,000 times. But I strive to play my songs differently every time, because I do not belong to the lineage of making things in concrete. I like to imbue the music with the energy of the day, the energy of the moment, the energy of the people, and trying to harness as much clarity and accuracy throughout that. So sometimes you might have a rowdy crowd, and the soft song will have a little bit more of an edge and a growl. You know, sometimes you have a soft crowd, and then the hard song will have a little bit more of a softness. So it's nice to be able to dial. I think that's more in keeping with the Indian music tradition, which is the raga tradition, where the raga has a feeling, has a set mood, but yet it kind of takes on a personality, the personality of the moment. So I mean, keeping it real in that way.
Well, if you're just tuning in, folks, this is Chi Talks with Javi and Tony, and what are we talking about?
We got a lot to discuss.
We got a lot to discuss. Well, it's nice to talk about performance. Nice to talk about observation. It's nice to talk about critique. Right. It's nice to talk about even that self-criticism. It's nice to talk about. and what's happening on the internal and the external. So let me just say also, when we talk about Qigong, there's 4 main schools. There's medical Qigong, and that's associated with, illness prevention. Scholar Qigong, cultivating peace of mind. Martial Qigong, strengthening and self-defense, hardening the body. Soft arts, external and internal arts, and then the last school is spiritual Qigong, which is the pursuit of enlightenment, opening the third eye, liberation. And within those schools too, there's a lot of overlap. I was thinking about the other day, Tony, you and I practice martial arts, and you practice Bagua, I do Tai Chi Chuan, soft arts, hard arts, and there's I want to discuss and I want to bring up this conversation about self-defense, and I think I want to kind of use the external sort of examples that are happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
So when I after living on the mountain, training martial arts, practicing martial arts, meditation, I came across nonviolent communication, and for those who practice martial arts, that you practice to cultivate skill, mostly internal skill, not external. There is the self-defense aspect, but you train so that you don't have to use it. So you train so you don't have to fight, and whatever, however you want to define fight, whether you're fighting internally or externally. So where was I going with that? I came across Marshall Rosenberg's work, Nonviolent Communication, and he used the term protective use of force to distinguish between violence and like aggression or domination, but also the aspect and or need to defend oneself, which I thought was a good distinction in terms of like how to apply and use force, which I think overlaps and helps to build a foundation for when we talk about self-defense. So I keep hearing in the media landscape this concept of like self-defense, and this country, they're in that group, they're allowed to defend themselves. And then I question, okay, well, I have to look internally. If I defend myself, to what end?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And these are the questions that we ask when we're training, we're practicing martial arts, and you're learning these skills. Sometimes you need to have that awareness of to what end. It's essentially what is survival, and what's the end.
Because that dictates the level of your commitment too. How much you're going to commit to the practice, how much you're going to put your body through, and I think as far as I'm concerned, for me, the idea of self-defense has such an integrated, integral way, because I grew up in a warring culture. I grew up in Beirut, and the streets were what's happening. What happens in the octagon in MMA right now does not compare to an eighth of what used to happen on the streets of Beirut, and fights there were just to the death. There was no referee, and so I grew up in a incredibly violent society and and culture. But then simultaneously, I cultivated guitar playing while I was living this very incredibly destructive Mars lifestyle. I was cultivating a Venus lifestyle, and the thing that I learned from playing the guitar is I learned how to listen, and listening to the music that's going within one's own being, and listening to the thoughts that are going within one's own mind. And I think self-defense starts there.
Self-defense starts in the thoughts of the mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Like, as far as I'm concerned, I think if I begin to think a negative thought towards somebody, I'm already have activated my vibrational realm and my sonic presence, that is the unheard elements and energetics of the thought begin to just vibrate outward, and I start to kind of almost cause that dissonance happen. So my first go-to is to disarm myself from the negative thought or from the combatant thought, because and honestly, I don't need it. I don't need it unless my back is against the wall and I have no place to go. I would not tie up with anybody, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
because it's just for not just for the artist, for any human being. We're not conditioned to go to on a full on conflict with somebody and just bone on bone. It doesn't end well for either party.
Definitely.
And as a musician, and if I knock somebody's tooth out, I'm also knocking my own knuckle out. So that means I have 3 fingers to play with, not 4. So that's a quarter of my skill has been put aside. But ultimately, to walk around with an angry feeling about something, or to walk around with a feeling that you have to defeat someone for your well-being, it's just not a healthy thought, no matter how you put it. And like you said, we train so that we don't have to get in a fight. We train really, really hard so we don't have to get in a fight. And as they say in the I Ching, the superior man carries no weapon. So feeling the fact that you are present in danger, but you don't have to act upon it, that's an incredibly high and superior thought. And unfortunately, it's not the state of the world right now, because everybody cultivates conflict more so than they cultivate harmony and peace. And it's a lot harder to cultivate peace than it is to cultivate war. War, it's you and me, we go at it. Peace, I have to think about every little action, every little thought, every little reaction that's going to occur with what I'm thinking and what I'm doing. So, yeah, self-defense should be practiced, I think, 110%. And it starts in the mind, and feeling like you're walking this world with eternity stretched before you, with everybody as your friend and as your brother, is a much better place to do than, oh my God, everybody is my enemy and everybody is here to get me. And what I learned is most people are not necessarily up to get you. They're just, you know what I'm saying? They're just for themselves. Like everybody's walking with their own mind, whatever. They're not after you, and you make it after you when you start to kind of conduct yourself in that manner.
And that's how you become your own worst enemy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah, there's really good points. I appreciate you saying that. One of the things that I've been concerned with and questioning too is how removed we are on this landscape from modern warfare.
Oh, we have no idea what that is like.
Well, and that's why I appreciate your perspective, because of your upbringing as well, and just kind of like knowing that environment. I haven't seen anything like that, so I can assume and presume that things will continue to be peaceful on this landscape, and I wonder if that's naive. Also, but that helps me to cultivate my thought and my action. That's the only thing that I can do. You know what I mean? That's the best I can do, and the most I can influence. And of course, and not.
Well, I think that's what we're promoting.
Not
continuously.
perfect, but
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you were doing with Inner Bloom, and what you're doing with your Chi Talk. That's what I'm doing with my music. We are trying to maintain that balance between the opposites in order for things to flow in a way that where there is no opposition, but there is collaboration, and there is a healthy interaction. And you do not have to go to war in order to resolve something. And unfortunately, this is not the example we see in the world,
Right.
But there are a lot of forces at play that go against you trying to make your peace. And I think we are in a place here where nature conducts the way we go about our life, and which is making it really more harmonious to live in cahoots with nature, as opposed to be opposing nature, as opposed to being in a city, in a very big city where everybody is running like they're with their heads chopped off. They're not present, and nobody is aware of what they're imposing, the energetics they're imposing on other people. But nonetheless, they are imposing it. Here we get nature keeps us in check. We like that, and I think we vote for that. I'm continuously fostering peace, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, thanks for saying that. No, I'm glad you brought up the wellness aspect, because there's a lot of discussion on mental health maladies, mental health disorders, and I think that if you expose yourself to enough media, if you expose yourself to enough TV, it definitely can stagnate some mental health processes, some positive mental health processes, and then also to have the abundance of beauty around us that we have is a good balance. Good balance to that. It's a good reminder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be connected to the seasons. Definitely a good reminder. It's a good reminder it's a good reminder that you're not in control.
Absolutely.
As much as we want to try to control. That's one of the things I've been kind of in the space of for past maybe few weeks, is like, letting go of the control, or the sense of control, or trying, expectation. It's more so like expectation,
It's really funny for me, because how I relax is kind of really weird. My girlfriend just thinks that's really weird.
Uh-huh.
Is I like to watch really violent movies with a lot of war.
No, come on.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. And I think,
say you're kidding.
Yeah, it's. I think the part for me is because I live the real thing.
Tony, are you serious?
I am serious. I live the real thing. It seems like it's such a joke to watch it on TV.
Huh.
So I get more of a relaxed feeling, because I think I have the real thing in the back of my mind. So I don't get to jump and become the character. I'm always like just putting myself in my own place, and as opposed to watching a romance whereas there's real heartbreak and they play it really well, and that just gets me so much more emotionally entangled in the flick. So so I I do not like betrayal movies. Like when I start to see somebody just cunning and starting to do something, I immediately start to like shake. I was like, I don't like it. But if I see somebody getting their head blown off, it's like, that's okay for me.
Tony, this is so interesting.
Weird.
Well, because there's so many. You probably agree with the fact too. Well, there's so many parents who try to restrict, those kinds of movies, those kinds of scenes, those kinds of actions, from their child, from their upbringing. I was brought up with violent movies, guns, and it's nothing to see it on television, but I just can't imagine if I saw it in front of me, because I never have.
Yeah, the big difference is there is no music in the background, and the music in the background really sets you up for an illusory aspect of what's going on in real life. Just like it's like things happen and then you wake up. For example, when one of the rockets we got hit with, when me and my family sitting on the first floor, literally we were playing cards and everything was fine, and there was a ceasefire. It was all great. Everything was happy. We were all laughing and all of that. My mom and my sister wanted to go up and get some coffee. We lived on the 5th floor, but we were down on the first floor, just waiting for things, if things are going to happen. And the very first rocket that came out hit us. And literally, we all woke up on the floor in about 5 inches of water. The walls are blown up. You can see blue sky after the dust settled, and we're like all looking at each other. What was that?
Oh my God!
What is going on here? And then you hear the rest of the rockets, coming piling up, because it wasn't just one rocket that came out; it was multiple. And then you start to run for your life when you hear it. And then that's been always my kind of like my go-to in my mind. If I hear it, I'm still okay.
If you hear it,
you're okay.
You're okay.
Because it had already happened. And if you don't hear it, you wake up either shot or you don't wake up.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine, because internally peace can come from one moment to the next, and the opposite of peace can come from one moment to the next. And there's an aspect of control that you potentially have externally. Not having control there, that seems to be like the ultimate test, and just not losing it, not losing the internal stability.
Right. I guess you get really agile at getting hit.
Oh my God!
You get agile at hearing. When you start young, and the sounds are 10 times bigger than your ears.
Jeez.
And then you kind of cultivate a sense of knowledge to the acoustic signature of how things are traveling through time, space, and causation. And you get to know what every single thing is and where it hit and what's going on. So you go about your life, and you're not adhering to the idea that you're going to get hit. But nonetheless, when you get hit, you don't know you got hit until you wake up either in the hospital or you don't wake up in the morgue.
Yeah. You ever thought maybe you woke up into something else? I mean, I've gone dark, not like dark in the aspect of like dark and light, but dark like as in like a pass out or something like that. And it's we assume that we wake up in the same reality.
Yeah, we assume that we wake up in the same reality, but it's never the same. You're right. I think I really I can tell you at least 3 incidents for which I was literally I felt like something had just pulled me 3 inches, and then I was out of harm's way. And I think I attribute that to my relationship with music and vibration.
Say that again.
One time I was literally standing in combat, and then all of a sudden I felt like something has pulled me out from where I was standing about like 3 inches or 4 inches. I just had the impulse and the urge to just move a little bit forward, and literally a bunch of rounds went through the wall just where I was standing. And I think as I grew more deeper into Qi and the understanding of how energetics and vibration work, I think I got the feeling of these rounds when they were traveling through air, when they were having their fly time, and they were dictating where they were going. And I already felt that, and I was pushed out of that just because I felt that projectile coming at me in time, space, and causation. It was really a weird, and yet it was like the most surreal and mystical and the experience that I've ever, there were many times where I couldn't have been here, it's, but there were a couple of times like this would definitely change the way you think about life and the way you approach the realm of the invisible. Because those invisible forces that are at play, energetic forces that are at play, they can either push you into harm's way or push you out of harm's way, depending on how you tune yourself to them. And I think that's the idea of self-defense. This is self-defense on a much higher platform and way of understanding the world. And
it's really interesting because I kind of think of like, well, in that environment, I don't know. I guess I'm reminded that the principles apply. The principles still apply in a way.
Oh yeah.
There's still the universal order. There's still nature. There's still cause effect, yin and yang, and there's still sensation. There's still feeling. You can be connected in a way.
Yeah, it never happens out of a vacuum.
Yeah.
Everything is still oscillating.
Well, my brother, it's interesting. I appreciate you dropping into that. Well, let's bring in Sandra. We're going to talk about polarity healing now with Sandra. And I hope we can talk more about music and the vibration, because I'm just fascinated now, given what you've described, given your background, how you choose to spend your time, energy, focus, and cultivate your gong fu with your vocals and your guitar. Mm-hmm. And we all were able to hear that previously, 2 weeks ago now at the Bhakti Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing experience there. Let me see if I got Sandra here.
Hey,
Sandra.
Aloha.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sandra.
Blessed, blessed, blessed day. Give thanks.
Aho.
Happy to be here.
Aho.
Yay.
Aho.
Thanks for joining.
Yes, I was listening to the dialogue and what that brought up for me, and I was just like, wow, it feels like, I think that war can be consistent in the mind on an everyday. We have to quell that.
That's right.
Extinguish that as best as we can and become our best friend, because it's so tricky how the mind will take us on that war path for as long as we allow it,
Inevitably.
And, yeah. I've been so blessed to have been introduced to Dr. Randolph Stone's teachings of polarity therapy. And then the continuation with Bruce Berger at Heartwood 10 years ago. It's incredible. I'm still a student, and I will be a student for the rest of my life. There's so much to understand, but this nervous system is really is the one that dictates, and is an allowance of what and how. So it's so important to cultivate a type of oneness with ourselves and understanding, and a whole new relationship with ourselves, because we've been just put and thrust into these boxes of how we're supposed to be, or what it is supposed to, shut up, be quiet, go to your room, or whatever it is that we've been told as a very young child. We've developed these tendencies of just self-deprecation on an everyday. So it's really important to cultivate a whole new relationship with ourselves, and, stop the war that is continuously breaking us down and making us sick and creating these illnesses and creating these pains that become just, you become so stiff that you don't remember how to breathe even. So, I essentially call myself a breath coach, because everybody's walking around as a shallow breather. But when you start to breathe properly, you start to allow your cellular and your molecular to expand instead of tighten. You have a new approach of having a different dialogue with yourself, because I know, at least we work with people that are in the mode of being well, that are understanding of their capacity and wanting to break through these constant, it's just a hamster, you're in the wheel, you're constantly just critiquing yourself or what you could have, can't, won't, don't thing. And it's important to go back and see yourself as that child that suffered, so long ago, and bring them into this present moment and actualize a new relationship with yourself, and saying, well, I'm here, and we're gonna stop this, and we're gonna get on the right path. And as if you were that healthy adult, your parents, your grandparents, your abuser, all these people that were ill, that inflicted their suffering onto you, just it's just a continuous. You've got to break the generational cycle of the abuse, and that starts with oneself, for surely. But I really I always tell, if we could all just take one deep breath right now, I mean, a nice deep breath, a cleansing breath, an allowance of just, of that space that we can cultivate, that therapeutic space that allows for healing, and then and within the second breath, you're elongating your breath, and you're allowing a grander space to be present and to feel the felt sense of existence, and within the third breath, you can be there, and feel, and be compassionate and loving to oneself. And as you were talking about not being the controller, knowing that the only thing you're control of is oneself and how we react, how we perceive, how we allow ourselves to label things, or we have to stop that with ourselves. We have to be that loving adult that we never had. We have to be that best friend, be that one that, instead of reacting to, the triggers, just breathe when you get triggered. And just innately just know that you're not the controller of it. And when you don't react, that energy, that sensation that arises, is, one of, you're not making it real. You're not making it real. And in that, we can have that understanding of, we're not the controller of this. This is not ours to carry. This was not something that was ours ever to begin with. So we can be an allowance of not taking that on, but just witnessing it with compassion, because that person, however it is that's thrusting this at you in that moment, they're also suffering, So by you not reacting, it allows them a space of like, wow, why didn't this person react? Or that's an incredible reflection for me to see this person just in this stillness, breathing actually. And then you can just say, that's not for me. And that's okay to not be the yes person, and have, you let that body armoring just dissolve, because we've had all these experiences that we've created all this body armoring. And it's time to clear those traumas and be our best friend and be that one that says, yeah, it's time to let it go. It's time to let it go and cultivate a whole new relationship with thyself. Whereas you are constantly talking to that inner child and saying, honey, your intuition speaks so strong. We're going to go with that. And we are going to take a left instead of that right. We're going to go around it. We're not going to eat this food. We're going to drink this amount of water because we realize we don't need all this food to stuffing it for emotions. And we need to nourish ourselves in a way that is expansive, and our nerves, our nervous system will react to, wow, I've been this breath that I'm taking, these long breaths are like food and water, and I've been yearning for this, and your body will respond, right away. It's in the mode of desire of being well. It's tired of this continual badger. We badger ourselves all day long. Oh, we could have done this, we could have that. And this felt sense is real, and the more and more you do it, one little step forward is a million. It's astounding with these quantum leaps that we can take just with awareness.
Oh, it's really lovely, very nice and incredibly nourishing, detailed account of breath and surrender. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you so much.
For sure, I love that. Every day I'm reminded of, because we were talking about war, and I don't mean to rehash the stories and stuff, but we've all come through some type of war, or some flight that we've had to overcome, and I'm tired of rehashing that. I mean, it's so important. It's so important to me every day to to get it together, because I want to be the best reflection I can be. And if that's, just taking the practice further within myself, and that's all I have control over, that's what I want to do on an everyday. I want to be present, and presence is ginormous.
I just have to say, Sandra, you do such a great job right now. You sound so serious and you sound so into it. And when you're in person, when you're at maybe it's just Bhakti Fest or when you're behind Sandra's Sweets, you're such a light. You're such a light and a delight. Like Sandra's Sweets.
Oh, the Sandra Sweets and Savories. Yes.
And
I
savories.
love to love. You know, I feel like for the longest time, I didn't know how to be present. So, you know, as an only child growing up with not much of that kind of energy, I was always observant as others. Why would they fight? Like these siblings, why are they arguing? If I had a sibling, boy, I'd be taking care of them and all these things, you know. But I see as everybody as just what I just can so now just look at someone and just love them regardless. It doesn't matter to me, you know. It doesn't have to be blood. It's just the vibrational frequency that we keep and hold together. I mean, when we get together and we chant, Tony, I mean, it's so much healing going on, and I'm so grateful and present, and just for our reflection, you know, and just for what we can cultivate together.
Oh.
Hey guys, this is great. I want to bring in a caller, and if anyone else would like to call, 923-3911, 707-923-3911.
Yes,
Oh, good morning. It's Maureen. Oh, what a beautiful conversation. I did take Marshall Rosenberg. I studied him. First I read the book, and then I took a whole semester here in Humboldt County. And I realized I learned from this a whole semester. Every week we met, made food, you know, talked, that we're wandering around with unmet needs. That's the premise of his work. And one of those unmet needs across the board is the need for safety. Does anybody on the planet feel safe, including an ant or a fly or a tree? And so then the other thing I want to say is that I can't remember who said this. It could have been Rumi. It could have been Course in Miracles. But our task is not to seek for love, but merely to find out all the barriers we have built against it. Thank you so very much for being there, all of you.
Thank you for your reflection.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen. Yeah, on the grand scale, you know, if the external is dark or it's getting dark, it also can serve as a reminder of, you know, what also is complementary and is on the tail in a way.
I guess we all come into the world with some kind of a task that we have to do and undo, right? And I think what the caller was referring to about removing the obstacles from the thing that makes us resonate into pure love or pure frequency, I think it's every human being's task. And because we all come into this world faced with an incredibly just a very, I don't know that many people who come into the world really, 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 really happy to be here. You know, they have to work at it, you know, deeply. Just
do we come in crying for a reason?
I guess putting it in context, you know, the density of the physical body and all that comes with it is just could be an imprisonment for our spirit. I mean, that's really when we're trying to find where the light is so that we can free ourselves from that feeling of imprisonment. And then we just go around trying to figure out our thought process and then our action process. And sometimes we succeed and sometimes we don't. But we still are under the law of nature. No matter what we do, we're still under the law of the opposites. That which goes up must come down, and so forth. So,
being energy beings, though. When we were in our mother's embryo, when we were growing in our mother's stomach, everything that she lived through, we absorbed also.
right.
So understand that, you know, there's a major, deeper connection that goes, I mean, even to your grandmother, you know, depending on what trauma she endured. I know from my grandmother, she had to cross the Sierra Nevada to go into a different country because of war, and she was malnourished and she was in fear and she was constantly just, told no. And she was started from nothing. And there was a lot of suffering there. And then that trauma went to my mother because she experienced hunger and she experienced seeing her mother, and then being pregnant at such a young age, not being certain about, this child and what was going to, all the just uncertainties of being a woman, especially of color. It was a really intense state. And, I know for me, I'm still breaking that because I've also experienced similar things. So, yeah, it's really deep. It's incredible.
Carried through the lineage for sure.
How the traumas get crystallized. There's a crystallization that happens, and it's time for us to go there and disperse it, because that's where we hold our pain. That's where we hold our this bounding, this intense bounding.
So, Sandra, you described the process a little bit. You said just breathing. It sounds so simple. What the process that you described is that your daily? How would you say your daily practice is characterized?
Well, at least for me, I really just seek refuge in the mother, and I don't mean to see the thing about when I say the mother. And any kind of form of spirit or energy, I've come to a point where I don't like to label it, because I don't want to fight about what God is labeled, or whose God is better, or whatever not. But
definitely.
So the Earth Mother, the Earth Mother, the one that breathes, the one that has an allowance of our existence on this plane, a reverence for the ethers and the sun and the moon. But also there's people in my life that have embodied that immensely for me. So Amma, who is the hugging saint, she allowed me my first real hug, and reminded me of breath, of release. So I always visualize this earth, this mother, all these different spirit souls that I have met, that have graced me with their presence and their reflection this lifetime, because I was just a lost soul for so long. And so I just I sit in stillness. And the first thing I say every morning, I say, Great Spirit, thank you so very much for the opportunity to step in today and be in this present moment, because I cannot change, yesterday. But God, it's like the present is a gift, it's incredible that we get to wake up and we're in this place where we are on the earth right now in this time. There's such grace with this opportunity to step in, and I feel like it's just so important to realize that we have this opportunity to be as present than ever. So, yes, breathing for surely, and visualization. And I go to where there's the suffering in my mind, and I just try to be still within all that, because there's so much going on. Truthfully, the breath, yes, has allowed me to not tighten up, and I just go and I visualize my breath going to wherever it is in my body that I feel tightening, and I coat that place in my body with where that tightening is.
Okay, slow this down. Say it again. slow it down a little bit.
So in the morning, I
visual.
wake up and I say, "Oh, Great Spirit, thank you, God is blessed, Jai Ma," whatever it is, that I'm feeling in that moment. But I always give thanks. Like, I always give the depth of thanks. Like, I visualize just so many beautiful spirit souls on the earth that are really enduring real suffering, because my suffering is my own, and it's nothing compared to others. So there's such gratitude and the opportunity to be able to be in that space of, wow, right now I have a shelter. Right now, it's the simplest things, the water. I can go out. I have these little bags that I make, and I distribute them throughout my day when I see somebody that is at need, all these material things that I've accrued because I want to distribute them. It's seva. It's all selfless service, but then I always step into the breath, I do this like a visualization of, if I woke up with my knee in pain or whatever not, or if I have something in my back, I take my first breath. And it's going to be a little shallow, right? But then my second breath is going to be elongated. And there it is right there. And then I'm starting to visualize this, this breath as a coating, and I will send that breath anywhere in my body where I feel any kind of tightness, my head if I have a headache or whatever, which I don't anymore, because I believe the headaches I used to have was because of the constant can'ts, won'ts, and don'ts that I used to have all the time. I will send my breath, my third breath. It elongates. I visualize like an accordion. I make it longer, and I send that breath to anywhere in my body that needs healing. And then by the fourth breath, I'm breathing for humanity, for those that cannot breathe, for those that have forgotten how to breathe, for those that need that reflection of somebody that knows how to breathe, because everybody's just a shallow breather and constantly just in this mode of like, I can't, you're not complete. When truthfully, we all have this most amazing innate gift that we have been given to reflect upon others. And I just pray for humanity, and I just sit in this, and I visualize all these beautiful spirit souls that are also doing this. I mean, we're here and there and everywhere, but when we are in stillness in this place, we connect. We don't have to be in the presence. It's just an energy, frequency, vibrational experience that has just thrust me into this mode of like gratitude and just of love, of this immense love and that's why sometimes I don't realize it, but my child is like, Mom, and I'm just so in love. I don't really care anymore. I'm at that age where I'm just like, you know what? I don't really think of it like that. If I'm so in love sometimes that I just can't even stop the laughter, because I feel so blessed. My grandmother went through so much for me to get here. My ancestors are constantly imploring onto me in my dream state, step forth, step forth, step forth. Don't allow these labels to stop you, from being present. And so yeah, the breath has been my saving grace. Every time I'm triggered, anytime I'm witnessing something, that's where it crystallizes. That's where it stays, and then before you know it, that becomes a pain, becomes a disease.
It initiates the trauma.
Yeah, it stagnates and festers, and until we're able to actually just let that go, and knowing that we did the best that we could, and to be in this present moment right now, in allowance, and being that best friend, as I've said, and being that that mother, that father that we didn't have to ourselves. It's just so important now, because nobody came with a handbook, and everybody came with their own crap, like we said, it's compassion for thyself is the utmost right now.
Sandra, thank you so much for sharing this. Tell folks about your practice and where they can find you.
Oh, well, We Are One is my Prabhu's Bruce Berger. He's a founder of Esoteric Anatomy, amazing teacher.
We love Bruce.
My email is Sand Barrios, Barrios at iCloud. Sand Barrios, one word, Sand Barrios, and or 721 P.O. Box Miranda, snail mail.
Excellent. And
also, I'm in your meditations. Bring me in,
Ooh.
Bring me in. I love you. I love you so much.
Well, we love you. We adore you, Sandra.
Well, let's get together and chant more.
Yes.
Yes. When is the next kirtan, Tony? And final thoughts here.
Well, I think at this moment, our next kirtan is going to be at Jay Moller's place on Nielsen's Ranch, and I think that's in August sometime. It's a little bit of a busy summer. I'm heading to France next week for 2 weeks, and be all over the place this summer up until August, and we'll keep you posted on the date of that. I think it's maybe the 8th or 9th. It's a Sunday, and that's a really fabulous gathering to get to. Jay opens his pool, and a bunch of us from the ranch and from northern Humboldt, and a lot of people show up to this, and we all end up doing a community chanting, and And Jay's partner, Naoko, she's an amazing chef, and she does some incredible food. And that's a free event. That's but they can contact me at tonykhalife@yahoo.com for details. TonyKhalife @yahoo.com, and send them details of how to get there and all of that.
Big hug to you both. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence this morning and just lifting the vibe and keeping the prayer going. If folks want to contact us, talkingqi@gmail.com, talkingqi@gmail.com. Remember to embrace the woo, folks. And until next time, may your chi flow smoothly.